If you'd like to purchase Magic Online cards at competitive prices, check out our web store at mtgoacademy.com/store.
Hi everyone, this is Noah Sandler from Mtgo Academy, and today we're going to do a Tempest Remastered 8.4. So let's jump into queue. This will be my 5th draft of this format, but I also drafted the original Tempest a lot, and feel like it's one of my better formats. So I feel pretty at home here. I've got a good feel for card values and even just like the rares and mythics. I've played with a decent amount in original Tempest block, so I feel like I have a pretty good handle on the format. Hopefully can teach something today. So far I've mostly been drafting blue control decks, and the last draft I did I tried a sliver deck. I started out in green and white and saw I think 6th or 7th pick Muscle Sliver, and there was another solid white card in the pack, but seeing it that late should certainly mean that no one else is trying to draft slivers, and I think the sliver decks pretty much come down to how many Muscle Slivers you can get. So seeing one late, looking like no one else is in, I took it, ended up with 4 of them, and lost in finals to a really strong deck, so I was pretty happy with that. So here we've got Fighting Drake, which is really nice, Soltari Lancer, Rootwalla, Time Ebb. Those are the other strong cards in the pack. I think I'm going to take Fighting Drake. 2/4 flyer for 4 has always been solid, and yeah, I mean it's just bigger than almost all other flying creatures. Eats it to Noodle Storm, but that's fine. So we're passing good white, good green card, Time Ebb. Here there's a Master Decoy, Muscle Sliver. I think I'm going to take the Decoy. I mean, I suppose blue-green slivers actually has an advantage because blue has 2 common slivers, green has 2 common slivers, and all the other colors have just 1 common sliver. So I suppose blue-green might be the natural way to build a sliver deck with wing slivers and muscle slivers. But Master Decoy is just like a pretty slam first pick common and goes better with the Fighting Drake. So I think we'll pass up on slivers this time. You can't really pass a muscle sliver and then go into slivers later, so don't think that's what we're going to be doing this draft. Okay, we've got a Sift, Wayward Soul, Curiosity, Skyshred Troll. So we'll take the Sift. I like it better than Wayward Soul, and Curiosity is actually pretty sweet. It's whenever a creature deals any damage, so if you have something like Rootwater Hunter, you can just ping every turn, draw a card every turn. But it is an aura, so sometimes your opponent will remove it quickly, and I mean, usually you're going to get at least 1 card off of it. You just play it on a flyer, attack in when your opponent's tapped out, and then they've got to deal with it, or you've got recurring threat. But I think Sift is just more consistent. From any situation, you'll be able to draw the cards, so I prefer it. And we've got Whispers of Muse, Trained Armadon, Hammerhead Shark. I think Whispers is solid, but I'm going to take the Trained Armadon. It looks like green is really open, so like might as well move in. We might get a really nice rest of this pack in a good pack 3. So yeah, I mean just follow where the signals are. I'm not seeing much white, but Armadon is a pretty big signal. There's also Moggen's Festation. I don't even know how to rate the card. Like it can be good. It's just weird. Like, you know, whatever you target yourself, or you target your opponent, it's sort of flexible. But if your opponent has a bunch of creatures in play, targeting them gives them twice as many creatures. It's not always gonna save you. Got a Rampant Growth, Canopy Spider, Verdant Touch. Verdant Touch. Card's probably fine, but I think I'd rather take Spider or Rampant Growth. I do like Spider. Rampant Growth seems nice because you've got a couple really good 4s to excel out, And maybe we could splash the Decoy. It's not the most exciting splash, but I'll take the Rampant Growth. There's another Train Armadon. There's a Mana Bond, Reanimate. So we'll take the Armadon. I don't think Mana Bond's worth too much, but I'll check. I mean, it's been played before in older formats. No, doesn't seem like anything. But green's definitely open. So we'll take a Hammerhead Shark here. Spell Blast can be okay against certain buyback spells. Youthful Knight's pretty good. Considering white hasn't really been here, it's a little bit late to see. And Hammerhead Shark, great in blue mirror matchups, and it's fine against, especially the red aggro decks. They might have to spend a good removal spell on it. We got a Sky Shroud Elf. So it does give us another potential fixing for white. Decoy isn't the most exciting splash since it does require to keep using the white mana. And since you're not going to play too many sources, if you're splashing a couple white spells, there's a little bit of awkwardness there. And I guess we take the Needle Storm. I don't know, maybe there's a Muscle Sliver still coming. Like, I don't know if I'd want to play Needle Storm in a deck that's like blue-green with Fighting Drake. I think it's the pick, but if Muscle Sliver comes out here and then we eventually end up with some sick blue-green deck. I mean, green was pretty open, but still, people would take Muscle Slivers, I gotta imagine. Might see a Spike Feeder, though. But still, like, it was one of the best cards in the pack. Like, so many people get to pick from it, I wouldn't expect to see it come back. We do get a Whispers of the Muse, card's solid. It's easy to cycle early, and randomly late game, you draw it, and it becomes a bit of an engine for a few turns. And then you just cycle it again. So, yeah, draft's looking good. We're in the exact right spot. I just can't see running Rally Anchor. I'm just going to hate Wildcat. This is like a 2-win for 2. Hate Rats of Wrath. I guess Verdant Touch, though, Patchwork Gnomes is plenty playable. But Touch maybe helps us gut green. Last pick, Mana Bond. Just with blue-green, there's other buyback spells. So, like, this would be nice if you just have one buyback spell for this to be it. Because you're just going to be playing your best buyback spell every turn. Whoa! Silver Wyvern card is super bomby. So, 5 mana, 4/3 flyer, you can change the target of a spell or ability that targets only it to another creature. So it has protection from cards like Lightning Blast. So yeah, that card's a bomb. Makes this Rampant Growth look pretty good, get that guy out early. And pass another Muscle Sliver, Lightning Blast, Master Decoy, Dauthi Slayer, Spirit and Core, Windrake. Windrake's the only blue card, but it's a pretty powerful pack. It's possible we get that back. Also makes me happy that we took the Needle Storm, if only for a hate draft, because that deals with Silver Wyvern pretty well. And Carnacid, pretty strong. It's an Elf, Spineworm, Time Ebb. Yeah, I think I just take the Carnacid. I mean, it's a full extra mana above Spineworm, but getting to trample is pretty nice. And that in itself, certainly not worth an extra mana, but being able to regenerate and trample means, like, you play this and then your opponent kind of just sits there and dies to it, and you know, if they don't kill you first. So it was a rare in the original Tempest block, so it's actually quite powerful. Really nice finisher. And we've got another Sky Shroud Elf, Stalking Stones, Whispers of the Muse. I'm gonna take the Elf. Like, we've got some nice things to ramp into. I don't want too many of these effects, and the Elf only adds for green mana. We've got a few double blue cards, but still think it's right. I don't really care for another Whispers. Like, I'd play it. I think Stalking Stones is a reasonable pick, but we've got a lot of double green and double blue, so I'm not too excited about that. We have the Spineworm. Nice pickup. Our curve's looking pretty good for a ramp deck. We've got good 4s, 5, and a 6. 5s and a 6. And Harrow. Harrow's pretty nice here. Like, lets us excel into the late game stuff and also get the double blue for Drake and Wyvern. So this deck's looking really strong. Could maybe use a little bit of removal, but our creatures are all just so big, so they can kind of crash over anything. And if you remove your opponent, you don't need to remove their creatures. Let's see, Ledger Domain, Whispers, Elven Rite. I think Elven Rite's fine, but our creatures are already pretty big. Ledger Domain can be an okay board card, and we just take another Whispers. Like, right now, it's good to switch a Skyshroud Elf or Hammerhead Shark for your opponent's bomb, but most of our, we have a lot of fatties anyway. I think I'd rather just play a fatty than have to trade off a creature for opponent's good creature. I guess it's sort of removal, but I think I'm just going to take another Whispers. Wing Sliver, we'll take Telethopter. Nothing great here. I think our deck's going to be powerful enough we're not going to have to run Twitch, so I'm just going to hate Barb Sliver, that or Dungeon Shade. And the Windrake did come back, so yeah, blue. I mean, there were a lot of good cards in the pack, so someone could have been drafting blue and took something better over it, but that's a pretty good sign. And Horned Turtle, I think, over Skyshaper. Skyshaper could be decent in some matchups. If we just have a bunch of Train Armadons and ground creatures, but we already have a good number of flyers, so Horned Turtle for some matchups we might want it. But usually, blue-green decks, you just have things like Train Armadon that, whatever creature you play for the turn is going to block pretty well, and then you swing with it. So Horned Turtle is not as exciting in these types of decks. You already lock down the ground pretty well with your fatties. Just another Whispers. I suppose you can't have too many of them, but I prefer to play other cards than just have a bunch of cyclers. That makes me a lot less interested in the Verdant Touch. Mnemonic Sliver, Falco Seer. Seer does give us some answers to certain shadow creatures, like the black ones, so it's a reasonable sideboard card. I don't think Mnemonic Sliver is going to fit here at all. Here, the Lab Rats. Foil land, nice. So I think the Verdant Touch can go, since we can just use Whispers of the Muse once we get to late game. Let's get rid of the Seer. So, I'd like to get removal, but there's not that much in blue and green, so pretty much just we'll get a couple more big creatures, some card draw. Verdant Force. Yeah. I mean, it costs 8, and there's a Train Armor on the pack, but I'm going to take Verdant Force. I remember it being a bomb in the original Tempest, and we do have a lot of ramp, so it's not that hard for us to actually cast it. And it's pretty much game over once you get into play. If you're facing a deck with a lot of shadow creatures, then perhaps not. But, for an 8-mana card, we've got 4 ramp spells already. I think we can make it work. So first of all, this Wood Sage is 100% going to table. And I don't even know if it's good. We have no way to get creatures back from our graveyard, so we could, let's search for Verdant Force, and then we flip our Silver Wyvern in the yard. I mean, I guess eventually it does find us Verdant Force or Silver Wyvern, whatever we're looking for, but it mills you pretty fast, so I don't think it's that good. Skyshroud Troll is great, though, so that's going to be the pick. Sliver Queen. And Crashing Boars for us. So that's kind of cool. Let's just see what that's worth. Probably not too much. .14. Alright, we'll take the boars. And we got a Rootwalla. That's nice. So probably going to see some more good green this pack. A little less blue, perhaps. Another Trained Armadon. Over Windrake. I think it's just the more efficient creature. So we're at 23. We can cut Horned Turtle. We'll probably get another playable or two from this pack of how open green is. And I think 17 lands is going to be right, since we've got like 4 cards that are basically mana sources. But we can take advantage of having extra lands. We have Sift, can discard land. This Hammerhead Shark is also not looking that great here, since we've got these Train Armadons and Rootwalla, like Troll, Fighting Drake. We've got a lot of like good ground defense anyway. So here, pick between Rampant Growth and Spineworm. I think I'm just going to take the Spineworm. Like, we've got 4 ramp cards already. As fun as it is to ramp to Verdant Force, if we just play a bunch of 5/4s, I mean, I don't think we're getting too clunky by playing a 4th here with 4 ramp cards already. So I'm just going to take another Spineworm. I don't think Volrath's Curse is very good. And I don't think we want Tin Viper. I don't think we want another Horn Turtle. I think I'm just going to hate the Dothy Slayer, which could actually be pretty strong against us. We'll take another Sky Shroud Troll. So maybe cut... let's cut the Hammerhead Shark. I think our trouble is not going to be from like red 2/1s or 2/2s, but from Shadow Creatures, and Shark just doesn't do anything against that. We'll decide in against blue decks where it's a 2-mana 2/3. I think a Whispers could get cut. Could run 18 lands. Could maybe cut Telethopter. It's pretty good with the elves. So Mulch, Spellblast, Vampire Hounds, Hibernation Sliver. We'll take Metallic Sliver maybe. Plays okay against other Sliver decks. Mulch. I just don't like it as much as the other ramp cards. And Hammerhead Shark or Sea Monster. I think we have just like enough fatties, though. Sea Monster could be really hard for us to face because we don't have ways to break through a 6/6. Like, other than flyers, like it stops our current acid. I mean, I think it's a pretty close pick. We already have fatties, but like against a blue deck, I think we'd actually rather, we'd rather play the Hammerhead Shark. But we do, like, Sea Monster just completely shuts down our deck except for a few cards. So I kind of like hating it, and then it's still going to be like a strong, worthwhile play against blue decks. Just 6/6 for 6. I think we'd get that in. So we'll take a Provoke here, and Victual Sliver, Gnomes, and Gnomes. So we'll cut a Whispers of the Muse. We'll cut the Sea Monster. I think Sea Monster is fine to play normally, but it's not what this deck wants. Because we already have plenty of fatties, and we don't need more ground defense. Some blue decks just have a lot of flyers, and like a creature like this is just sit in front of all your opponent's ground creatures is something that you'd want. We have a Provoke. I mean, we have like no removal. I think it's something to consider. Yeah, I'm kind of convincing myself into Provoke. I mean, if you're just cycling, Whispers of the Muse is a lot stronger, but we already have 2. And Provoke, sometimes your opponent plays a Master Decoy, you provoke your guy, or you can provoke, draw a card, take it out before it becomes too annoying. And we have, I mean, other than I guess Crashing Boars, sort of removal, like we have 0 removal. So I don't mind having one thing that could potentially take out an opposing creature, I think. But on the other hand, if we're just attacking our opponent with big fatties, like, why do we care to slow things down to, make one of their guys block? I'm just about convincing myself into it. Not a strong card, but I mean, we've got a lot of ground creatures we can smash in, take out something of opponents. All right, let's run it. Like it doesn't let you deal with shadow creatures, and we already have like a reasonable amount of flying defense, so I don't know. I don't know what's gonna be useful for it, but let's give it a shot. So this is certainly wrong, probably like 9-8. And again, you could run 18 lands, but I think with the Elves, Harrow, and Rampant Growth, plus Sift can, it can find you lands or discard them. Like I think 17 is sufficient. So let's submit, and I'll see you for round 1. Hi, it's ready for round 1. Play first, we'll keep. This hand's pretty nice. Don't love having Verdant Forest in my opening hand, but we can ramp into a turn 3 Telethopter, hopefully turn 4 Spineworm, and that's a pretty good start. Guess there's some synergy with Telethopter and Verdant Force, giving you tokens to easily let the Telethopter fly over. But once you have Verdant Force out, perhaps you're not too concerned with making your Telethopter fly. Excuse me, so we'll go Growth for Island. We'll easily find a third forest by the time we need to cast Verdant Force, and this lets us go for Fighting Drake and Silver Wyvern. Might just go Train Arbidon. It's just better than Telethopter. Thopter can get Fanaticked, Shocked. I mean, opponent would have played Fanatic, but like Flowstone Blade could take it out. Kindle. Arbidon's just the right size against red. Force them to use a Lightning Blast on it. Well, more Train Myrmidons. Red cannot easily deal with this card. Turn 3 and 4. Perhaps a Sandstone Warrior and then leave up mana is about all they could do. And then we actually have a couple flyers we could use in that case. So this should be a hard game to lose. Okay, Lowland Giant, we trade. I think decide between Fighting Drake and Telethopter. Telethopter does potentially get more damage in, but it opens up the possibility that opponent could shock it. So I'm gonna go with Fighting Drake. Okay, Stocking Stones is not much of a problem. Could eventually trade with Armadon. I was just gonna say, Flowstone Wyvern was the kind of card, it's like, yeah, that's something that might be pretty good here. So this time we're going to go with the Telethopter. Telethopter definitely would be better against that card. So, yeah, we smash both, because opponent might just trade with the Armadon. This way they pretty much have to just block our Drake. We'll go for Telethopter. And then whatever we have next turn, we can play it pre-combat, and then give Telethopter flying, and smash him with everything else. Opponent plays land Rolling Thunder. Things get a lot closer. Otherwise, we're still looking really good. Okay, Furnace Brood. again, so let's go for Spine Worm. I think I shouldn't worry too much about taking damage back, so let's use the Spine Worm to get in. And we'll attack with the Drake also. So this just makes it harder. Like, opponent is pretty much forced to keep blocking the Drake and take the damage. Or if we, say, use the Drake to fly the Telethopter through, opponent could just not take any damage here. And I like leaving them with less decisions in this spot. The Wyvern, it gets +2, -2, so if opponent wants to pump it, it's just going to trade with any of my creatures. And they probably don't want to trade it, but yeah, I think they're better off just holding it back. Okay, they decided to trade. Like, I'm pretty happy with that, because the Drake was still just kind of bumping off for a while, and eventually the Wyvern could trade with the Telethopter if opponent needed to, so I think they might have limited their options a little bit by making that block. There's a Swamp, so that brings stuff like Dark Banishing into play for the Spine Worm, or even a Vampire Hounds might be able to take it out. But we can play another Spine Worm, fly over with the Telethopter. Also, Edict comes in. Okay, 6 Slitter's pretty cool for opponent here. Oh no, they play Sandstone Warrior though. So that's kind of weird that opponent did that. So we get to go Spine Worm, flying with Telethopter, and opponent's forced to chump here. I mean, if they just played the Sliver, they could have blocked sack to kill the Telethopter. And this way, they're kind of just chumping with one of these creatures. So I feel like they just gave up some value there. I mean, they have to block, so I mean, they probably want to block with the Sandstone Warrior, so they could have just not cast it, played the Sliver, used it to kill the Telethopter. So now we've got 2 Spine Worms that are lethal. Opponent can make the same play next turn. They have a Khazardrix. That's a good one. Skyshred Troll. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, opponent does get killed in 2 turns if we end up with no creatures in play. So we could try some type of strategy that involves us just losing all our guys, and then opponent dies for Khazardrix. We're at 20, so that's not too far away. And other than that, we can just keep playing creatures and bashing, put our opponent in a tough spot. We could maybe go with Skyshred Troll or Windrake. I mean, Drake gets in for 2. Troll might let us go for a big attack next turn, so we get in with, like, opponent can take a Spine Worm out, they can chump the worm, and then Troll takes him to 2, and then we play Windrake. Does seem pretty nice. Or you just go Windrake now, opponent slivers the Telethopter, they have to deal with the Windrake. I think I prefer the Troll play. And no, I mean, unless if we actually wanted to be losing all our guys, there's no reason to attack with the Spine Worms this turn. We're going to lose one to the Kesseldrax, they chump and sack with the Sliver, so we're basically just throwing away a 5-4 if we attack with these two. If we didn't want to play the Troll, even that doesn't really work, because we got to give flying to the Telethopter, so this is pretty much how we have to play this turn. I guess you could go with Windrake, use it to fly the Telethopter, attack with both, force opponent to kill a worm, and then just, we have Windrake, Spine Worm versus Kesseldrax, so they've got to first kill the Windrake, and then we can keep smashing in the Spine Worm, and then, if they take any hits from the Windrake, they can die to the Kesseldrax. So it puts opponent in a pretty rough spot. This spot is also quite rough, and I guess 2 lands away from Verdant Force, which likely means that opponent's Kesseldrax isn't going to trigger, but 7/7 and a ton of 1/1s can be good. So let's tap this, get him a Telethopter. Force opponent to sack. Also sort of like this play over the Windrake, just that, let's see, opponent disconnects. Just that if opponent has a removal spell, they've got to use it now rather than using it on the Drake, which is possibly more important at finishing opponent off. I mean, in a red-black deck, there's a few flyers in black, and I think just like the Wyvern in red. Oh, and there's Sabertooth Wyvern, I think. It's a 3/2 flyer for a strike. There's not that many cards that opponent can have other than just like a removal spell. So the Drake's pretty strong in this spot. But opponent might have to burn a removal spell on one of my fatties, which could be better. But I think no matter what we do, we're just putting too much pressure on opponent, and we're just at too high of a life total for them to survive through Kesseldrax if we just keep jamming our creatures every turn. Okay, opponent reconnected. Play the second Swamp, has Wall of Diffusion. So the wall's pretty strong here, and Clot Sliver. So that's pretty strong. I mean, now this entire play is kind of over. Ooh, we have Sift. Let's go for Sift. We kind of even want to draw lands, so we're very likely we could just throw a random creature away and get a land, play Windrake, and then have Verdant Force up. Harrow. We'll lose the Harrow. Play Drake. So opponent's got to deal with the Drake, and they have to deal with the Verdant Force next turn. Revenant. That's a 5/5 flyer. Pretty good. It's going to make things tight. Should be able to erase my opponent here, being at 20, opponent at 5. I get 2 tokens for, like, every time I untap, I get 1 token my turn, 1 token opponent's. They can start jamming the Revenant, but looks like they're going to wait. I'm just going to throw, I guess opponent could have Evankar's Justice, but I think I'm just going to throw all creatures out and just make a giant attack, like maybe even next turn. Might just send everything in, might be lethal. Opponent has 5 creatures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to have 5 extra creatures. If opponent has nothing, we have lethal next turn, but I'll probably wait 1 extra turn, we get an extra 2 creatures. So just in case if opponent has removal spell, we're still going to be able to finish them. Okay, Kindle. But opponent can't really attack with Revenant here, because then we just all in. And they might do it just thinking like, look, opponent might be thinking, okay, like they're gonna die in a couple turns to Verdant Force, so maybe their only chance of winning is attacking with Revenant and then hoping that I don't go all in. And then they maybe draw something that can attack again, buy a little bit of time, and then finish me off. So I think opponent basically bluffing here is a. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to work because I'm going to attack all in next turn. So it's actually, in a sense, it's a terrible play, but I think opponent has to make it, and they don't. I mean, I respect that they realize they're like dying. They give me enough respect to make this play, but I think they have to go for it there. I don't know what's in their deck. Maybe they have something that gets them out of this spot, but I doubt it. Maybe Evenkar's Justice. It's uncommon in this set. And I think I'm just all in next turn. Opponent has 5. Okay, Gravedigger. Can get back Acidic Sliver. Use that to kill something. So that gives opponent an extra 3 creatures this turn. That's a decent chunk. It's possible I can't kill them. So we got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can't actually kill opponent this turn. In fact, they can maybe get in with Revenant. Though if they were going to do that, they should have attacked first. They just got Sandstone Warrior. That seems incorrect. They're probably still okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I can get them to 1 if I go all in. But I get 2 extra creatures by waiting a turn. So I think I just pass. I could, no reason to trade the Verdant Force here, so let's just pass, and then we'll go all in next turn. I keep saying we're going to go all in next turn, but opponent, he needs to play something that handles 2 creatures. I just can't think of what that would be. Some kind of destroy creature, gain life spell, draw land. 1 card in, so I'll just check once more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 13, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 extra creatures. We've got to play a spell that handles 2 creatures. I could look into the format, like see what's available. I mean, am I going to die in the swing back? I do get an extra token from Verdant Force probably, so I can block the Sandstone Warrior. So I think I'm even fine on the swing back. So let's just go all in here. And that should be game. Oh, did I count this guy? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's still 1 over, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's still enough. But I'll have an extra creature back to block. Everybody in. Okay. So opponent has some graveyard shenanigans. Just 1 flyer. Kindle, Acidic Sliver. Alright, so I'll be right back. Okay. So, we've got Verdant Touch, which, long game, I guess, could give us some extra creatures in play. Hammerhead Shark. Don't think it does too much against opponent. I don't really see anything in board I really have to get in. Maybe Provoke could go out for like a Whispers of the Muse, but I could use Provoke on Revenant. That could be pretty cool. So I think this deck's good. Let's run it back. Worth noting, B. Paris 15 is a really strong poker player and Magic player. Has consistently crushed me in poker, and I might have just played him a few times in Magic. He's probably done pretty well against me there too. Okay, this hand looks great. Against opponent's deck, Trying to think if I want to be extra cautious with the Silver Wyvern. I've seen a Kindle. Ooh, Elf. Good draw. So not too much else. I mean, I might... Opponent has Edicts, okay. And, I mean, we can still curve out Root Walla, so I don't mind that Edict too much. Vampire Hound's pretty strong. Trained Armadon. I think I'll go with Armadon. I mean, opponent can easily jam the Hounds in, or they could hold it back. If I attack with Root Walla, like, I'm pretty happy to trade it for 2 creatures if opponent blocks and discards 2 creatures. So in a way, Root Walla could be the play. That said, like, with my hand, I don't think we want to be racing that much. I think this hand will play really well in a long game. Opponent discards Gravedigger. They're going to play Gravedigger here. That's the only way I can see this working. Yep. Interesting play. I mean, it's not going to be that effective against my draw, I think. So we smash, play the Troll. Which plays a little more defensively than going for Telethopter. And it might put opponent on the defensive. If I can get them to play defense for just a short moment, then I'm going to overrun them. The Gravedigger play does give them nice ground defense for a long game, but like I think I've got a pretty good edge if they just sit back. So we got an Elf. I think we just go Telethopter, so that can actually start getting in some damage, and maybe force removal spell out. Skyshroud Elf does let us cast the Wyvern, but I'd love to have an extra blue available for when we go for it. Like, it makes the card so much better against the red-black deck. Just we haven't actually seen any removal spells that trade for the Wyvern from our opponent. So it's possible Wyvern's just safe by itself. Opponent has the Flowstone Wyvern. Oh, Mog Infestation. Targeting who? I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, targeting us. Alright. Didn't take care of our 2 bombs. So, I mean, now the opponent sends Hounds. Yeah, I'll just jam all the goblins on it. Play Spineworm. If I attack with Root Wall, opponent blocks with Gravedigger, I pump, they just Gravedigger it back, so that's not great. But Spineworm might actually work pretty well. Because if opponent trades their Hounds or like something else in their hand, like if I can break up their Gravedigger combo, then I'm pretty happy. They have a Clot Sliver. Okay, well that takes care of that. They have 1 card in hand, we know it's Gravedigger, so I can just jam the Silver Wyvern and feel pretty safe about it. Which is what I'm going to do right now. Shift the turn back. I can start using Whispers of the Muse, like leaving a blue on my opponent's turn. I mean, from this spot, like Flowstone Wyvern might be the only out in their deck to the Silver Wyvern. So I'm in a pretty good spot. And we drew another land, so now it's looking over. Because we can have the Wyvern ability up, we can be using Whispers every turn, get us up to 8 mana for Verdant Force. So the only thing the opponent could do is like play the Flowstone Wyvern, have that with Gravedigger, and that holds me off for a little while, but then I get to play Verdant Force, and eventually just run them over with a bunch of tokens. Opponent plays a Gravedigger. I mean, I guess if I start going all in, they're probably going to lose. But I mean, giving up the Gravedigger recursion means they now just have like nothing going on. It appears. Maybe they drew another Gravedigger. Oh, I guess they have Revenant, but they have no creatures in their graveyard right now, so that could be potential out. So we'll buy back the Whispers. Draw another Whispers. No reason to tap out of blue. Fighting Drake. Might as well play the Drake, speed things up. Give opponent less time to draw their Wyvern. Yeah, attack from opponent. Kind of look like they just drew Revenant. I think I would actually just block with the Goblin token. Okay, they just bin Revenant. Yeah, that's alright. Okay, pretty good match. I mean, if I didn't say it before, like, I think this deck that we have is very powerful. Like, Silver Wyvern and Verdant Force are both, like, pretty insane bombs. And considering we have so much ramp, like, Verdant Force is actually really good in our deck. Where in other decks that, 8 mana is a lot, you can get run over, but we've got 4 ramp spells for it. Plus some card draw. So, and then, yeah, the rest of the deck's just really solid. A lot of ground creatures, have some flyers. I think the only way we lose is pretty much against an aggressive shadow deck that gets a quick draw. Maybe a deck with counters, but we've got so many threats that I don't think that would be too big of a problem. Maybe a capsize lock. So, cool. I'll see you for round 2. Alright, we're back for round 2. I'm going to keep this hand. I'm just going to run Whispers and Muse out on turn 1. Like, I just have better stuff to do later in the game. We've got one left in the deck. So I just want to make sure we hit our drops. And didn't get one of our ramp cards, but our hand's pretty strong. I mean, our deck's strong. There aren't too many combinations of hands that are not going to be good. So I think we go with Ruwala here. Should be able to attack through just about anything next turn. Silver Wyvern, strong. Well, smash with Rootwalla. And go for Sky Shroud Troll. No reason to draw cards with Sif, like we've got plenty of gas for the next few turns. Dismiss. That's good, but get to resolve Silver Wyv next turn. We're playing against a blue deck, so we get to side in the Hammerhead Shark and the Sea Monster. Okay, standing troops. So we'll jam into that. Opponent snap blocks. I mean, could be Gallantry. Could be Smite. I mean, a snap block is like... Opponent needs to think about it. I mean, if we do pump, they have something. It's not the worst thing in the world. We go for Windrake. But we can resolve Silver Wyvern here. I guess if they actually have Smite and Gallantry, I'd actually sort of like to just get out of my opponent's hand here, because those are cards that could actually get rid of the Silver Wyvern. because we might not have multiple targets we can switch to. So I think I'm going to pump here, and then probably end up going for Windrake, because the Trained Armadillo can't get past the standing troops. Okay, opponent has Smite. Well played. This block, can't think of anything that hurts me here. Spirit and Core, that's pretty annoying. I think I go with Carnacid. Like, that can jam through Spirit and Core. Well, the Spirit and Core can hold off the Silver Wyvern for now. It can prevent. It can put 3 damage on the standing troops and leave 1 on the Spirit. Ooh. So opponent gets Carnacid, we get standing troops. That's pretty rough. And they have a Shadow Creature. Well, okay, that was a pretty big beat. I don't even know if there's anything we can do to get Carnacid back. Like, we don't have any. I don't think we have any ways to deal with it. I mean, we can trade for it, of course. So... Oh, I just played a land. Best play might be to go Sift Armadon, and then that should hold back the Carnacid. And take 2 from the Scout, and then we get the Wyvern out. But, I mean, then, gosh, we're kind of in trouble. Like, opponent can just attack for 2 for a bunch of turns, and their Spirit and Core holds back the Silver Wyvern. So obviously should have sifted before playing the land, but Fighting Drake is good. Two, 3. I think Elf is probably better than Forest. I guess next turn we could immediately cast Verdant Force if we draw it, compared to not doing so. What else does the 1/1 do? Not too much, I think. I mean, it's a 1 in 22 shot. Otherwise we just play it the next turn. I'll pitch the Elf. Opponent's got to be really unlikely to jam the Carnacid without something else here. I'd be pretty scared of that attack. They have 2 cards in hand. Could be like a Capsize. Because if they lose that, their Spirit and Core is now not doing anything. So, I mean, this could be a huge... Like, if I can take that out, that... I don't know. I'm kind of scared of this attack, but, like, I can't just take this a bunch of turns. I'm going to fall so far behind, so I think I have to block. Opponent only has 2 cards in hand, but something like a Capsize could be pretty devastating. Bandage, I guess, is like, it's bad for me, but I mean, I would want to put 1 more creature on, but I don't want to just lose my Windrake and the Armadon here if I don't have to. So let's double block like this. But opponent really shouldn't be making this attack, so I don't know. Like, this could, I don't know, maybe there's a better way to do this. What? Nothing? No way. Scrivener, get back, dismiss. That's a pretty good play. But we get to get our Silver Wyvern out. And rampant growth for an island. And we might just bait with the Fighting Drake. Or we could wait a while. Like, slows opponent down as far as when they draw their card. Does force them to hold 4 mana up for a while. So yeah, I think we have to just keep passing. Or wait, no, Wyvern can get in, right? Yeah. Opponent doesn't have enough toughness to swap stuff around with Spirit. And let's keep passing. Yeah, so we really don't want to bait the dismiss here, because we just want max number of turns before our opponent draws creatures with more toughness. We'll keep playing lands. We could draw Whispers of the Muse, want as many lands in play as possible. Opponent keeps playing lands, and so we're looking pretty good. We're definitely winning the race. Would like to draw some spells. I mean, opponent draws a spell, and suddenly we're in trouble because they have dismiss, we have nothing. Like if they draw like a 3 toughness creature or more, like Staunch Defenders would be pretty sick. You have 2 turns, and we can take out the Spirit and Core. Don't do it. Time out would be kind of annoying. Yeah. Whoa. Attack with both. I guess they know they're not going to block. So they can attack with Wyvern. So I think the play here is to go Windrake, Fighting Drake. Then opponent needs to draw like another flyer or they're dead. Where if I just pass, if they draw like any reasonable creature, then I have to then go for Windrake, Fighting Drake. Or this way I've got 2 flyers that can attack through. So opponent has to draw a flyer, and even when they draw a flyer, I can probably attack through next turn. Okay, attack with Scout. Go to 6. If charging Paladin. So they need something else. Draw Crashing Boars. Let's get in there. Capsize would be pretty annoying. Bandage. Okay. So do they have to kill off one of these guys? Yeah, they gotta kill off one of their 2/2s. We have to play Crashing Boars. And still looking quite good. Though I guess, gosh, they can attack us pretty low. Yeah, maybe, well, I guess they're going to lose their Scrivener. We need to have Boars in play. So we're probably still okay, but it's going to be close. They go to 1, which means Standing Troops is lethal. They gotta have like 4 blockers next turn. That's gonna be hard. They need 1 flying and 1 extra blocker. If they do, we might be okay. Might be okay still. We just go to 4. Okay, got it. Verdant Force. Leisure Domain. That card is scary against us. I also have Dismiss, which can be really good. Scrivener to get back Dismiss. Smite's pretty good. So this is a relatively hard matchup. So we'll get the Sea Monster in. Falco Seer is good against this 2-1, worth considering. I don't think we want Needle Storm. I think we just saw 1 flyer. And it's like not even good against the flyer they have. So Provoke. I think Provoke can go. Everything else looks really good. I kind of like the Whispers, actually. This opponent's pretty controlling. So maybe we just cut a ramp spell. Even, like, could maybe cut Verdant Force, but it's still very powerful. Like, yeah, it could get dismissed, or opponent could Ledger Domain it, and we just lose because we can't stop it. But opponent might have to use Ledger Domain on like a smaller creature. So what's the last cut? I think just a ramp spell. So Elf or Growth or Harrow. I think Elf. So I don't think ground creatures do too much for us, and being able to get the double blue, we also have an extra double blue card now. So I think this is what we want. But it should be a tough match. Yeah, I think this hand just isn't quite enough. I think I can do better on 6. Okay, this is better. With a hand like this, I think you probably do want to hold Whispers to 6, as long as we're not under too much pressure. Because we could really use having extra cards. Like we're pretty far down right now with just lands and a 2/3. I guess I should play this island there for some reasons. I want to Whispers, but it's not very likely. Okay, they've got a Decoy. They've got Shark. Drake, need a second blue. Attack with Decoy. They could rep Dismiss pretty hard here. Spirit Mirror, that's a cool card. Okay. Let's jam with Shark. So opponent gets an infinite 2/2. And they can trade it off with Leisure Domain. That's a pretty cool combo. Okay, they've got a Shark of their own. Wait, what am I doing? Okay, opponent doesn't tap with Decoy. Don't think there's much of a difference between Worm and Boris here. I'm gonna go with the Worm. Everything's currently locked off by the reflection token. There's the Elf. So attack step. No attackers. Let's play boars, I think. Actually, no. Let's go for Windrake plus Elf. Like, at least Windrake forces opponents to start using Master Decoy. Or boars doesn't really do anything. Okay, opponent capsize with buyback. And yeah, this will be tough. I don't think we can really deal with capsize with buyback too easily. Just have a bunch of fat creatures. Opponent already has control. They can decoy. They've got infinite ground blocker. Now they have a creature. I might even just concede, but I suppose it would give opponents some information about our deck that we can't beat a capsize lock. And Pegasus Stampede. So yeah, this is pretty much over. And provoke doesn't really do too much about this either. I think I have a spell blast, right? Alright, I'm good. Needle Storm, deal with their Stampede tokens. Rats of Wrath could protect against capsize. No, probably just run it back. Hope to get a really fast draw, I think. I mean, we did mulligan, didn't have a great draw. Alright, this is good. This is the kind of draw that could just run opponent over. It's once they set up having like decoy, the spirit mirror, and the capsize that like we really just couldn't get out of it. Okay, Windrake. Go for Island. Get Train Armadon out there. Shark. Still think I go for Armadon. It's closer. So opponent plays another crappy creature. We don't really want to attack with it. But it also prevents opponent from attacking. I mean, we want to be aggressive, but there's a potential we might just be able to attack for 3 here. Opponent's decoy. Yeah, like we get to slam here. Yeah, we get to slam here. Then we'll play Windrake. Spirit and Core. That's a good one. Opponent should definitely just sit back. Carnacid. 1, 2, 3, 4. So even the Root Wallet doesn't get through. So I think we should go for just Burning Whispers and then playing Skyshroud Elf. Draw an Island. Could play Root Wallet. I think we still play Elf. Could trade the Train Armadon for the Shark. But I don't know if that's something we want to do. At some point, the Spirit and Core is gonna, oh, okay. So now opponent has infinite on their Encore and the Protector, so that's pretty good. And we can't stop that. So yeah, this is getting harder and harder to win from this point. Let's start with just fighting Drake, so we don't take too much damage. We can go for Sift after. Well, I did say there were two things that our deck might lose to: really fast Shadow Rush, or a deck with counters and Capsize. And I mean, this is definitely the kind of deck that could beat us. This opponent has a Time Ebb. They get to get some damage in. It's a Time Walk for sure. They can attack with both their flyers, I think, pretty safely. Let's just get a little bit of damage in. Opponent has Bandage or Smite. Okay. Does speed up their clock a bit. I mean, I'm just not really seeing how we beat this. The opponent's going to keep drawing cards. Like, they'll have something better than what they have out in play at some point. I'm just going to speed things up and put Drake on the Hammerhead. Like, I could put it on the flyers, and opponent activates it, and, you know, a bunch of triggers go on the stacks, not going to waste their time. Scrivener getting back Smite. I'll throw out Carnacid. Guess we'll attack first. Do we send Drake here? Take 8. I think I'll leave Drake back. Just so it sucks, but we can block the Scrivener at least and trade with the Drake. If opponent decides to go decoy on their turn, attack with everything. So it potentially prevents 2 damage. Obviously, we're not just going to kill our opponent anytime soon, so while it would be nice to get in free damage, it's really not free. It probably puts us too far behind to come back, so I think we got to leave it back. Opponent should just go for tap Carnacid, send everything in. We go to 6, trade these off. We can maybe play something else, and then we play Rootwalla. They tap the flyer, get in. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much game. That's opponent's got a really nice deck. Yep, good play. Got the Bandage for the blowout. Nope. I can't really think of what I could draw. Attack with both. Opponent goes to 10. Play Spineworm. Chump. Maybe have a little bit of pressure on opponent here. Opponent does have a smite too, we know that. They can't use it this turn. I guess I'll just start with Whispers. Let's get in with Carnacid. Maybe Elf should go in there too. F6, let opponent deal with triggers. It's just going to be 2, not going to take too long. Oh, come on. Oh, well, whatever, I guess. Use it twice, keep things clean. And this will do it. To sift. Opponent gets to tap, tap, and we're dead. So, good games. Yeah, I mean, we had a really strong deck, but an opponent had one of the archetypes that could punish us. And yeah, just didn't have any removal, and they just had too many good control cards. So yeah, hope you learned something. Hope you enjoy watching me beat my first round opponent with Verdant Force. That was kind of cool. So yeah, see you next time. Thanks for watching.